Well, good evening, Anthony. A gorgeous sunny day here in Tallahassee for the inauguration of Ron DeSantis, who is from the First Coast, Iraq War veteran and former congressman. He was sworn in on the steps of the historic Capitol building right behind me this afternoon, becoming Florida's 46th governor. Now, in his inaugural address today, he really laid out a blueprint, spelling out his top priorities over the next 4 years. He spoke a lot about the environment, vowing to protect the state's natural resources, also an effort to get health care relief for Floridians, and his desire to appoint judges who won't legislate from the bench. Now, the governor says he will work to uphold the law and will not allow sanctuary cities. I caught up with a couple right after the inauguration who came here to hear the governor's vision for Florida. They co-founded a charter school slated to open later this year and say they like everything they heard.
I'm excited about his support for a parent's right to choose where their child can go to school.
When it comes to limited government, to protect our environment, to promote education, to promote civics education, those are all things near to my heart as well, in addition to the environmental platforms and also the educational platform.
Now, instead of having the traditional inaugural day parade, right after the swearing-in ceremony, the governor held a legislative luncheon, and he stood between the House chamber and the Senate chamber, speaking to state lawmakers about his vision for Florida and vowing to work together with them, saying he is ready to get to work. Now, after that, the DeSantis' returned to the governor's mansion, where they baptized their son, 9-month-old Mason, with water they brought back from Israel. And they have 2 children, both under the age of 3, and they will be the youngest kids to call the governor's mansion's home since back in the 1970s. And at age 40, Ron DeSantis is the youngest governor in Florida since back in 1913. That's when Governor Park Trammell took office at the age of 36. DeSantis is the first governor from Northeast Florida in nearly half a century. Former Florida Governor Claude Kirk Jr. was from Jacksonville. He served 1 term from 1967 until 1971. Now, as for the task at hand, the governor says he is getting right to work. His first 3 items on his agenda are announcing a Florida Supreme Court justice. He's expected to do that tomorrow morning in Miami. Also providing more relief and visiting those impacted, devastated by Hurricane Michael in Northwest Florida. And he's vowing to address environmental concerns in our state.
That I am duly qualified to hold office.
That I am duly qualified to hold office.
Under the Constitution of the state.
Under the Constitution of the state.
And that I will well and faithfully perform.
And that I will well and faithfully perform.
The duties of governor.
The duties of governor.
On which I am now about to enter.
On which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Wow, Ron DeSantis had his official swearing-in ceremony this afternoon.
As we've been mentioning, he is now the 46th governor of the Sunshine State. The oath was taken in front of the state's historical Old Capitol. He then began a speech promising to build on the economic foundation Republican Governor Rick Scott laid over the previous 8 years.
Now falls to me to build upon the foundation that has been laid to navigate the challenges, economic, environmental, and constitutional, that lie ahead, and to steer Florida to a stronger, cleaner, and safer future.
The new governor also laid out an economic plan that follows the way Republicans have governed, that includes low taxes and fewer business regulations. He also stressed the need to restore Florida's environment. The governor hopes to fight the blue-green algae and red tide that marred waterways all over the state.
Land that I love, stand beside her.
That right there is Mama
Blue.
She brought some Jacksonville flair today to the inauguration. Mama Blue, aka Ms. Sarah Sanders, performed God Bless America just before Ron DeSantis was sworn in.
That's right, and our Heather Crawford got the opportunity to sit down with Mama Blue. Heather is live in Tallahassee with her story.
I sure did, Anthony. You know, Jessica told me, wait until you hear Mama Blue sing. Wow. If you were listening today to First Coast News or firstcoastnews.com, you were probably like the rest of the hundreds of people here today, just absolutely blown away. You know, Governor DeSantis is the first governor in Florida in about 5 decades to be from Northeast Florida. And so today's swearing-in ceremony really had a taste of Jacksonville, a Jacksonville flair to it. One of the most memorable moments before, or after rather, Mama Blue was when we saw the flyover by the 125th Fighter Wing with the Florida Air National Guard. They're based in Jacksonville. That happened right after Governor DeSantis took his oath, but right before he took his oath, that is when we got to hear Mama Blue sing God Bless America. And I had a chance to catch up with her right after the inauguration.
As the storm clouds gather far across the sea.
I'm just grateful that I could represent Jacksonville and hoping that I did a good job.
Mama Blue, a Douglas Anderson School of the Arts grad, believes in the healing power of music. She hopes her performance at the inauguration helps unite Floridians.
I just came with love and peace in my heart, and whatever the music needed to do, I trust that it did.
White with foam.
What was that like for you personally?
It was amazing. It was an honor. I'm just looking forward to our governor crossing the lines and just keeping peace and unity at the forefront of everything that he sets out to do in his term. But overall, peace before politics, baby. That's how I roll.
She definitely made the First Coast proud. Isn't she just an amazing, gifted singer? Well, the festivities are not over yet. 2 days of inaugural festivities will wrap up tonight at the inaugural ball over at the Civic Center here in Tallahassee. That event gets underway at 7 o'clock, and we will make our way there in just a little while. Now, tomorrow morning, Governor DeSantis says he is ready to hit the ground running. He has a trip planned to Miami, and he is expected to announce the first of 3 state Supreme Court justice appointments tomorrow. And don't go anywhere, because coming up tonight on First Coast News at 6, we caught up today here at the inauguration with the chairman of the Duval County Republican Party, and he shares how he thinks having Governor DeSantis at the helm of the government is really going to have an impact on the First Coast. We're live tonight in Tallahassee. Heather Crawford, First Coast News, on your side.
For you tonight, Heather Crawford kicks it all off for us live from Tallahassee. Heather.
Good evening, Anthony. You know, today's inaugural address really gave us a blueprint for Governor Ron DeSantis' top priorities now that he's in office. While Governor Scott laser focused on jobs, we heard Governor DeSantis today talk a lot about protecting the state's natural resources. You know, he is the first governor from Northeast Florida in about 5 decades. And so when you add that to the fact that the state's top 2 budget writers, the leader in the Senate and the House on the Budget Committee, are from the First Coast, it really appears to put our area, Northeast Florida, in a very good spot. Now, in his inaugural address this afternoon, Governor DeSantis talked a lot about keeping taxes low. He talked about supporting school choice and putting a greater emphasis on vocational training. And then, as I mentioned, really heard a lot about a renewed focus on protecting and saving the environment. The governor says that water is a vital part of Florida's DNA, and he will do everything he can to protect it. We caught up with the chairman of the Duval County Republican Party, Dean Black, and he says that is good news for the First Coast.
Water, with the St. Johns River coming out in Duval County, is clearly important to the residents of Duval County. But also education. Duval County has had struggles with its educational system, as we all know, and they actually have a real concerted plan with resources and a real strategy to address that and provide choices to parents that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
So today we heard the governor talk in very broad terms. We're going to have to wait and see the actual specifics as he rolls out plans. Right after he was sworn in, he went inside to the Capitol Rotunda where he had a legislative luncheon and spoke to lawmakers, state lawmakers, the House and the Senate, standing between the 2 chambers, saying he's ready to get to work and ready to work with them. Now, his first priority tomorrow, he has a trip planned to Miami. That is where he's expected to make his first appointment to the state Supreme Court. He has 3 appointments to make. The next 2 after that expected to come in the next few weeks. But the festivities are not over here in Tallahassee yet. In about an hour, the doors open to the inaugural ball. We're going to make our way over there, and we are going to have a live report from Tallahassee from tonight's ball coming up on First Coast News at 7. Anthony, we'll send it back into you.
So it was a night of celebration in Tallahassee. Ron DeSantis is now the governor of Florida, and tonight he and his wife had their first dance as the first couple My co-anchor Heather Crawford has been in Tallahassee all day, and she joins us right outside of the inaugural ball. Heather?
Tonight's inaugural ball here at the Civic Center in Tallahassee wraps up 2 full days of inaugural activities. And the governor says tomorrow he is ready to hit the ground running. He has a full schedule ahead of him tomorrow. He's expected to make a trip to Miami to make an important announcement on the Florida Supreme Court. He has 3 Supreme Court justices to appoint, and he's expected to announce his first appointment tomorrow. He also plans to visit northwestern Florida and Mexico Beach, an area just devastated by Hurricane Michael. Now today, during Governor DeSantis' inaugural address, he talked about his top priorities, including keeping taxes low, getting health care relief for Floridians, and he focused a lot on the environment. He vowed to help protect Florida's natural resources, something that really has resonated with a lot of people.
I really kind of feel like he's really interested in sort of promoting, like he talked about the waterways and keeping Florida just, we're known for our water and our beaches, and I felt that he really meant that. So I'm hoping that, you know, whether you have an R or a D after your name, we could all just in Florida work together to keep the state prosperous and clean and beautiful, and so I think he'll do that.
Now, in addition to Governor DeSantis being sworn in today, Jeanette Nunez became Florida's very first female Hispanic lieutenant governor. Also sworn in with them today included the CFO, the state's new attorney general, and new agriculture commissioner. And tomorrow, the work begins. In Tallahassee, Heather Crawford, First Coast News, on your side.